Oculus, begin transmission.
Transmission commencing.
Hello YouTube, this is Pecktec, and I believe where I left off, if you're an aquarium fan that is, was the Steampunk Aquarium idea contest. I had several good submissions, and I'll be getting in touch with them this week to get their free plants. I really appreciate all the input that I got, and I look forward to seeing even more, because what I'm going to do is through the course of this project, I'm not putting a date on it because I'm not sure when it'll be finished. But through the course of this project, if you see me trying to do something, I'll be doing updates on this as I go. And if you see me doing something that I could be doing better, or if you've already beaten this or tried to do this and accomplished it, tell me how. Tell me how you did it, and I'll reward you with some of these great aquarium plants. I have literally tons of plants that I trim all the time, and I would love to share them with my viewers. So just let me know. Now to move on a little bit, I released a preview of what I'll be talking about this week, and it was inspired by, I believe it's called the No Clean Aquarium. They did a Kickstarter as for a little tiny jar. It's a beta bowl. It's a little tiny jar. I don't think it's even a gallon. And what they did was, you know, they just use physics to clean the crud that builds up in the bottom of the aquarium. They had basically a little area in the bottom, and as you pour the water in, it sucks it up the tube and it comes out, and it just uses gravity to clean the aquarium. It's a pretty smart idea. I was really fascinated by it, and I love to keep betas, but I thought it was just a little too small. I finally got a chance to see one in person. I thought, this is nice, but it could be bigger. You know, and I thought, wow, why haven't they ever come up with this for like a 55 or a 30 gallon or something like that? But just to kind of play with the idea, I started looking for used aquariums to experiment with. So I came across this Bio Orb Aquarium. I'm not sure what size it is. I believe it's the smallest one. And the idea was, well, it's acrylic, so I can drill through it. It's you know, you can drill through glass. Yeah, sure. I don't do that. That's I would probably have to pay to get that done. So that was a big advantage of picking up an acrylic one. That dome is sort of a classic shape that I really enjoy. Okay, so if you got to see the little preview I put up last week, it's about 2 minutes long, and I warn you, it will make you have to run to the restroom and pee because there's a lot of water coming out. Just fair warning. But this thing I got for $10 at a yard sale. It's just a small Bio Orb. I think it's the smallest one that they make. I thought it would be a cool beta bowl, not so much as a regular aquarium. The filter that it came with was really incredibly shoddy. I don't understand why these things cost so much money. It's really kind of it's a cruddy little air, you know, box filter. And it was smart the way they put it. You know, some parts of it were. What I really like is the airline goes right through the bottom. It's got a little check valve here, and then it fits into a notch so it'll sit flat. So that's kind of neat. And the way that these little grooves here at the bottom pull the sludge or whatever's going to develop underneath here, it pulls it right up through the center. So I think with the addition of the air stone moving, it'll really provide a lot of suction and really get the crud out of there, through the tube, and then out, you know, out into whatever I do with it. So in that aspect, this aquarium was perfect for this project in particular. These are fairly expensive to buy new, which I did not realize. I haven't shot for one in a long time. $10 at a yard sale is a great deal, but I got some scratches and stuff on here. It doesn't look terribly beautiful, but at least as a prototype, I'm going to call it okay. And if I really like the way it comes out, maybe I'll buy a new one and drill into it. Well, without further ado, I'm going to tell you exactly how I put it together. That's what I promised to do. And the way I did it was I used a couple of different things. Okay, this is the box filter that it comes with. You see it says sponge. and then you can pull this out. And they had little tiny bits of ceramic and some carbon and stuff all mixed together in the bottom of this. Well, that's not too great. So I took all of this out. I just removed it. It does have a cap that'll fit on the top of this, and that's where the top of this tube is. I actually left that cap in place and just set it down into the little frame, because this would normally set into a little frame and then click in. And then that cap and the tubes on top, well, it fits just fine on here without it. And with this tubing in place the way it is, it keeps it really sturdy. It's in there and it won't come out. No glue or anything necessary on that. You'll see that I have this plastic piece to kind of keep gravel and stuff away from the bottom of this tank. And that'll give it a nice space to kind of separate the crud that's going to develop from the gravel. The gravel will still be an effective biological filter, but all the stuff will be underneath. Now this isn't going to be a under gravel filter. Like, I really don't like those. So the purpose of this will be to pull that sludge out and put it into some plants. What I did to accomplish this is I bought this at I think Joann's Fabric, and it's like for cross stitching, and it's just a nice little plastic mesh. I found the center, which is really easy to do. I figured out what size that this tube needed to be, and I just cut it out and placed it right over the top of that lid, and it was just perfect. Perfect fit inside this really nicely. It comes in tons of different sizes. If you need something big, need something smaller, very cheap, great material. Something else I did was I took all the electronics and stuff out of the cap for the light. I don't know if I'll use a lid on this aquarium. I might leave a lid off the top, but this does come apart, and especially if you get one of the older ones. This does come apart, so you can rig something to this if you wanted to. The tubing that I used is 1/2 inch. This is a 1/2 inch piece of black tube. It's kind of like a black PVC. I don't think it's exactly the same material. I did have a normal L-gap, like the white type of L-gap, right, or L piece right here, but it just looked it was too bright. It's too easy to see. I went with a piece of gray. That seemed to work just fine. This 1/2 inch fit right inside of here and made a nice gap, or kind of a converter. So it fit tight inside of here and tight inside of there. You'll notice that I've drilled a hole here, and what I did is I used a drill bit, a circle drill bit. I drilled a hole, and then I took a Dremel and actually made it a little bit bigger. If you drill a perfect hole, the tube just goes in like that. So it would have been pointing like way down here. I had to actually make the hole a little bit bigger, and I just sealed it with a little plastic gasket, like you see here. Yeah, here's the little plastic grommet, I guess, that I put in between. It opens up. I found this in like the small bin store, the hardware store. It has a little groove right here, and it takes a little finagling, but I was able to get this into the grooves around that hole, and then I wet this the piece of plastic down. I was able to just slide it on through there. Now the basic physics for the way this works are pretty simple. And you pour the water in. Once it reaches this level, it's going to come out the side, but it's not coming from up here, it's coming from down here. So hopefully what it will do is just suck up the crud, pull it out, and then out the spout. Now, if this is left the way it is, just kind of hanging out on the side, then I believe the water will stop once it reaches this level and then hits the air on this side. It'll break the siphon. If I continue this pipe around, in theory, I believe it will siphon out probably all the way down past the rocks and into this bottom portion where the small holes are. So I'm more than likely going to add, if I decide to continue this line around for the project, I'll probably add a spigot. I'll either do a spigot or I may engineer some sort of like crazy funnel for it to pour into. And what I want to do is I want the water to come out, the used wastewater, I want it to come out and then go into some planters that I'm going to have around the stand. One thing I've found for a stand is this old cabinet. And it's got a door. It's nice and sturdy. It's pretty even. And this aquarium fits very nicely on top of it. So I'm going to have sort of a false top. I built a little extra, more decorative top. And I've got all sorts of ideas for how to steampunk out this cabinet. One idea I had was to make a porthole right here, and maybe one of the plants will be growing inside. And the other thing is to have things attached around. Thought about maybe doing light fixtures inside of these brass, I guess these are old brass planters. So I thought, oh, you can have a light fixture in the front and a planter underneath. Maybe something like that. But I might do those, or something like that, on the sides. Anyway, whenever you start a steampunk project like this, basically, the first step is just to pull out every piece of brass that you've purchased over the past couple of years and just start fitting and seeing what, what kinds of things you can create. Of course, it all starts with just a basic idea. I want a beta bowl type thing that I can also use to as a decorative planter. So it'll be an interesting project. What I'm going to do is shoot little segments like this and then put it into a playlist for the Steampunk Aquarium. So if you follow some of my other videos, you can come back and check it and see where I'm at. I believe that's all for this week, and look forward to seeing your comments. So have a great week, and I'll be back in touch soon. Thanks.